The first bill on the calendar for today is House File 1937. The clerk will report the bill.
House File number 1937, number 2 on the calendar for the day, an act relating to state government, establishing a budget for the Department of Military Affairs and the Department of Veterans Affairs, the second engrossment.
I recognize the author of the bill, the member for Minoka, Representative Newton, to explain House File 1937.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And members, before I explain the bill, I want to thank the people who helped me put this together. Our amazing staff, Adam Koppel, who's my right-hand man, is committee administrator, Robin Schmidt, my LA, Jeff Diebel from House Research, Helen Roberts, Fiscal, John Baylor, and John Holtquist, if John's here, and then Tenzing Tengyang, who's the page. And also I want to thank Steve Elkins, who's the vice chair of the committee, for his work on the committee, and Representative Matt Bliss, who's the Republican lead and who really worked closely with me. We had a great committee. We got a lot done. The bill itself provides the funding for the National Guard and for the Department of Veterans Affairs. One thing that we did this year that's a little bit different is we looked at the families of the veterans, and we're doing a lot to take care of the families. So it's not only the veteran, but the family that's included in this bill. And we have accepted quite a few individual bills that have been incorporated into this bill from Representative Bennett, Representative Farr, Representative Anderson, Representative Garofalo, Representative Creshaw, Representative Bliss, and there's an interesting Hudella-Greenman amendment, our bill, Representative Clardy, Representative Coulter, Representative Lissegard, and one from myself. So we've had a good bill. It's completely bipartisan. I would like to offer the A1 amendment to this bill, Mr. Chair, Mr. Speaker.
There is an amendment at the desk. The clerk will report the amendment.
Newton moves to amend House File number 1937, the second engrossment. The amendment is coded A7.
Thank you.
I recognize the author of the amendment, the member for Minoka, Representative Newton, to explain the A7 amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker and members. The A7 amendment is simply a technical amendment. It adjusts the numbers to make sure that they're correct on the bill. And with that, I stand for other amendments. I understand there's another one that's coming.
Is there any further discussion to the A7 amendment? Seeing none, all those in favor of adopting the A7 amendment, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. The motion prevails and the A7 amendment is adopted. There's an amendment at the desk. The clerk will report the amendment.
Olson B moves to amend House File number 1937, the second engrossment as amended. The amendment is coded A6.
I recognize the author of the amendment, the member from Martin, Representative Olson B, to explain the A6 amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So my amendment, it just addresses a very slight concern that I have with this overall bill, and I so appreciate the fact that we have this bill on the floor today as a standalone bill. This is an excellent way for all of Minnesota to hear that we, in fact, support our veterans, and we support them very loudly. Now, within this bill, we have one thing that kind of concerns me. It's with regards to the Veteran Resilience Project. It's a nonprofit organization that's going to be getting $400,000 per year for the next 2 years, and then $200,000 a year after that. And members, good intentions are good, but getting results is even better. And that's my serious concern with this project. This program is not ready for prime time, members. And let me tell you just a little bit about this nonprofit. Over the last couple years, they've had 3 different P.O. boxes. They don't have a physical location. We asked them in committee, we said, hey, how do you provide this form of treatment? It's treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder members. Our soldiers are going overseas, they're experiencing trauma, and they're coming back, and we need to help them deal with what they've seen, deal with what they've experienced. And we need to do that in a way that is legitimate, in a way that is effective, and in a way that is efficient with Minnesota taxpayer dollars. That's what we need. The end goal is results. The end goal is not to throw money away, and that is my concern. This project, this nonprofit has had 3 different P.O. boxes. They don't have a physical location. Over the last couple years, they've had numerous new leaders. They're having an overturn of their leadership over and over and over again. They're not even filing the appropriate tax documents, members. They're utilizing a form called the 990N, which is it's an abbreviated form in which you're stating to the IRS that your nonprofit receives less than $50,000 a year. Now, members, this project, this organization gets more than $50,000 a year. So they're actually breaking the law and not doing what they're supposed to do. They're not doing their due diligence. And so what this amendment will do is it will take that money from that organization that good intentions are good intentions, but results are what we want. It's taking that money and it's providing it to the Mayo Clinic, which has their own post-traumatic stress disorder treatment that also involves the exact same form of treatment that we are funding in this project. They have the exact same form of treatment, but they also have another list of multiple different types of treatment if you, in fact, need that different type of treatment to rectify or at least recover from your post-traumatic stress that you have received, that soldiers have received in the line of duty. Now, members, one final thing that this amendment does, and I think is incredibly necessary, is it requires the money to be spent on soldiers, on veterans, those who have experienced that trauma firsthand. Now, the chair made a great argument that families also are experiencing this same form of trauma. Families are experiencing this struggle that our veterans are feeling, but we only have a finite amount of resources, and we have many soldiers and many veterans in this state who need our assistance. So if we're going to spend $400,000 a year, let's ensure that we help as many veterans as we possibly can. In committee, we had a conversation, and I asked the question, I said, how much does each one of these treatments cost? And if we provide it to spouses as well, what are the end goals? And as you can probably guess, if you allow spouses of veterans to receive the same treatment, that means you can have half as many veterans treated. So what this amendment does is it will ensure that all $400,000 goes towards treating soldiers and veterans of their post-traumatic stress, and it will ensure that there is no lost money in startup costs or organizational or admin costs as a result of a nonprofit that is not yet off the ground. The Mayo Clinic has a well-established post-traumatic stress disorder treatment, and this money will ensure that our veterans have the best possible chance of success in treating their post-traumatic stress and ensuring that they are on the best foot towards life as a civilian. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Please vote yes on this amendment.
Further discussion to the A6 amendment. I recognize the member from Anoka, Representative Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Representative Olson, for bringing this amendment forward. I'm going to ask members to vote no on this. I checked with Mayo Clinic, and they have no one down there that knows anything about this, and they didn't bring it forward to us. However, I will commit to you that I'll work with Chair Bliss, and when we get to conference committee, we're going to look very carefully at this and make the adjustments as necessary. So with that, I would like to ask for a no vote on this amendment. Thank you.
Any further discussion to the A6 amendment? I recognize the member from Dakota, Representative Clardy.
I just wanted to say that this is a great bill. Also, like Reverend Representative Newton stated, this has not been recognized by the Mayo Clinic at this point. And as far as the 990, that was filed in 2022. So at that point, they were not eligible to handle any other amendment. So I agree with Representative Newton in saying vote no.
To the A6 amendment, I recognize the author of the amendment, the member from Martin, Representative Olson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Mayo Clinic absolutely has an established post-traumatic stress disorder diagnosis and treatment plan. We have a printout here from their website on how they go about doing it. But with that being said, I very much appreciate the chair's willingness to have these conversations. As he said, this has been a bipartisan effort to ensure that all veterans receive the best possible care and get them on the road towards recovery, get them on the road to success, to thank them for their service, for what they've done as for our country and for our state as a whole. I'm still going to ask you all for a yes vote. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Chair Newton.
All those in favor of adopting the A6 amendment, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed, please say no. No. The motion does not prevail and the A6 amendment is not adopted. There are no further amendments at the desk. The clerk will give the bill its third reading as amended.
Third reading, House File Number 1937, as amended.
Third reading as amended. Discussion to House File 1937. I recognize the member from St. Louis, Representative Scraba.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you, Representative Newton, and everybody that got this bill here. As a member, as a veteran, and as a member of the Ely Honor Guard, we all thank you for everything you've done to get to this point. My wish is that all bills came like this, that they are all standalone, and so that we can all have this discussion about what's good and what's bad about them. And I look forward to more of them coming this way in the future. This Veterans Bill is a good bill. Thank you for your support, and please vote yes. Thank you.
I recognize Representative Weens.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Thank you, Chair Newton and Lead Bliss. Again, I can't extol you enough for the leadership. This was not just a bipartisan, I would say it's a nonpartisan bill. We, as our soldiers, as our service members join, they take a pledge, and they take a pledge in a nonpartisan manner. And in that pledge, we have a responsibility. Many of you have heard that only 1% now serve in the military or have a connection. I'm proud to say that we have over 300,000 Minnesotans that are veterans. That's over 5% of our population. We are a state that serves, and we do much to do that. Our World War II generation in recent years used to be the largest population of veterans, and they're passing, not totally, but they're in their twilight. And a new group of veterans really extols that, and that's our Vietnam veterans, of which our chair is, and carry any burden. Today I have a guest with me, Colonel retired Don Patton, up in the gallery. Colonel Patton served 30 years in the Army. He is now the current executive director of the World War II Roundtable, and he's done that for over 30 years, about 36 years. And he's had a variety of Minnesota World War II veterans come and share their stories with the public at the Minnesota History Center. And that's an important part of having this legacy and being able to discuss our stories with one another. As we move forward, one of the things that I found very important with this bill is that we have a responsibility, accountability, transparency, and evaluative criteria by which every dollar we spend is justified to our citizens, and it is upholding that pledge that we make to our veterans when they pledge to serve us. In that, it's bespoke in success metrics. And as we go forward, we take a look at our new crop of people. In fact, my generation of veterans are going to be right after the Vietnam veterans. And I just want to say, be all you can be was the slogan when I joined. For you, sir, I think it was bear any burden, JFK. And life's an adventure, I believe, with our Navy member of the caucus. But I just reach out to all my fellow veterans and also those that served on the Veterans and Military Affairs Committee. It was a pleasure to work with you. We still have some things to solve as we go forward. There's some challenges. We've got, of course, veteran suicides, post-traumatic stress, and veterans homelessness. And as we partner with the VA on solving those problems, this year they said they wanted to work on homelessness. and we appropriated a lot of funds towards that. And I look forward to hearing successful stories back on that. As we go forward, I ask that you vote green on this, and with my Red Bull comrades, I would say attack. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
I recognize the member from LeSueur, Representative Farr.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just want to take this opportunity to echo some of the words that have been said here this afternoon already. So thanks to all the members of the committee, particularly those that were involved in getting this pulled apart into standalone bill. I think that means a lot to our veterans. I mentioned, Chair, in Ways and Means that I've been contacted by a lot of veterans, and I'm sure that you were as well. And I've heard from many of them since how grateful they are that we could pull this apart and make it stand alone. That means a lot to them. I'm also glad that we could get the Veterans Bonus Program in here and include a couple extra individuals, those who were involved in Inherit and Resolve. We missed them last year when we put this thing together, and so we got that included. We also missed those who were, the rules then said if you didn't say you were from Minnesota on your DD 214 rather, excuse me, you weren't included. And so those people that served in the military but have been Minnesotans for the last sometimes number of decades weren't included in on this program. And so I'm glad that we got that funding included and additional funding for those folks. So again, to everyone who was involved in this process, I want to thank you. This is a good bill. I would urge you all to vote green.
I recognize the member from Martin, Representative Olson.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We're talking about Army slogans. I think my Army slogan that I joined up with is the newest one, and that one was Army Strong. So I joined the Army when it was Army Strong. I think we have Be All You Can Be. We have an Army of One, which didn't make a lot of sense to a lot of people. But let's talk about the Department of Military Affairs and the really great provisions that we have and the expenses that we are making within that aspect of this bill. Really pleased that we're going to have a strong recruiting bonus, retention bonuses, ways in which we can ensure that the Minnesota National Guard and the Minnesota Air Guard are absolutely up to plussed up with their recruitment numbers, have the equipment that they need, the assets that they need to go overseas and do their job, which is to protect America's interests. Not only that, I'm excited to take the new Army ACFT, Army Physical Fitness test that we have at the new place in Arden Hills, and by saying that I'm excited, I am most certainly not excited to do that. But it'll be a lovely building once it's completed, and I will ensure that you all know that I hopefully pass my test when I take it in that new building. So I appreciate those expenditures. I think we do a really great job. If I were to say one negative thing about this bill is that I had hoped that we would have more to address soldier suicide. That's one of the issues that the military today, that our veterans are really struggling with. Hopefully the PTSD conversation will have some effects on that. We're doing a great job about veteran homelessness. We're ensuring that our veterans have a place to stay. Now let's ensure that they're in a right place mentally. If we can move into that in the future, this bill would be as perfect as we could possibly get. I thank you for your leadership on this, Chair Newton, and for Lead Bliss. This is a good bill. I will be voting for it. Thank you.
I recognize the member from Morrison, Representative Kresha.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you, Chair Newton, for all your work. Just very quickly, I'm a yes vote on this, a very strong yes vote. I appreciate all the work on the Veterans Military Museum, whether it's all the support you've given. We've had lots of conversation, and this goes way back to when I first met you. We've always been strong supporters of veterans together. So with that, thank you. I hope this position survives, and this is the one that comes back from the Senate conversation. I think it's a nice, strong position and the right thing to do. And want to invite everybody to come visit the Military Museum after it's up and running. So thank you, Chair Newton. I'll be a yes vote.
I recognize the member from Dakota, Representative Hudella.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I've never been more excited to endorse a bill and vote yes on it. It was a great time in committee, amazing work from both sides of the aisle. I think it's important for everyone in the room to just reflect on a couple things. It's less than 1% of our population that serves our country. one thing that all of that 1% shares is a deep love for our country. Another thing that they share is not one of them comes out the same. And I can say that from experience. You will come back different once you put on that uniform and sacrifice for our country. And that demographic sacrifices by missing that time from families, missing holidays, birthdays, special events. Some of them come back missing limbs or suffering from other injuries, PTSD, and the list goes on. And some of them don't come home at all. So I was really excited to see this big of an investment in our veteran community. It's probably the demographic of people that I am most passionate about and that I will fight for during my time here in the legislature. And really, this bill gives me a lot of hope, seeing our two sides work together and not have political agendas or worry about clipping things for use. This bill really showed me that we've got a lot of hope to do some good things for some good people, and I'll be a strong yes vote on this as well. Thank you.
I recognize the member from Beltrami, Representative Bliss.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to start off by thanking our nonpartisan staff. They do a really hard job. John Hulquist, our Republican staff, and I do want to also thank the Democrat staff. And then I want to say a special thanks to Chair Newton. Truly an honor serving with you, sir. And you've shown great leadership in this committee, and you've put the veterans first. And it was clear from the start of this committee, it was a nonpartisan committee. It's the only committee in the House that we leave the R's and the D's outside the room. And I really appreciate that. With that said, also the work that you did on working with me and getting this bill separated and run as a standalone, that is greatly appreciated. This is my third term on this committee. It's always been a top priority for me. Veterans come from a strong veterans family. Unlike the rest of the veterans on my side here, I'm probably the only one that was able to serve in 100% peacetime. I signed up shortly after Grenada and left shortly before Gulf War I. So I timed that one pretty darn good. I do want to, there were some really good provisions that were brought up. I want to mention one, my bill for Camp Bliss. I have to just ensure that everybody understands this is in no way related to me, my family, or my business. It is just a wonderful operation up in Walker, Minnesota. It's an outdoor, it's a retreat for veterans. They have cabins, they take them out fishing, they do counseling at night. It's really a great operation, so I'm happy to see it funded again. And again, somebody mentioned earlier that we worked with the homeless this year. That's really good. I want to see a focus on research and treatment on PTSD and veteran suicide in future committees. So with that, I thank everybody and encourage you to vote yes.
I recognize the author of the bill, the member from Anoka, Representative Newton.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members, and thank you for the kind words. This has been a great committee, and it's been really nice to work with everyone on both sides of the aisle. We're giving the governor essentially what he wanted in this bill. We're giving the National Guard what they want, and we're giving the Department of Veterans Affairs what they want. And in addition to that, we have all of the other bills that we've incorporated, and I encourage everyone to vote green. Thank you all.
I recognize the member from Stearns, the Minority Leader, Representative Damath.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and thank you to Chair Newton and Lead Bliss for your work on this bill. I'd also like to thank all of the veterans in this chamber and across the state for the sacrifice that has been made to keep us safe and defend our liberty. Members, this standalone bill is a good bill. It is the way we should do things, working together and being able to have a bipartisan support. Vote yes.
I recognize the member from Hennepin, the Majority Leader, Representative Long.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Minnesota military has a long, proud tradition of service dating back to when we were first incorporated as the first state. before the Civil War broke out and sent 24,000 folks to serve in that war. And this bill carries on that proud tradition. We have great provisions in here on veterans homelessness to move towards the goal of functional zero veteran homelessness. We are having the long overdue increase in vet service bonuses for those following service of after 9/11, and a removal of state burial fee for spouses, in addition to the funding that's been mentioned for the Minnesota Military and Veterans Museum. I want to thank Chair Newton for putting this bill together, for your service to the state and to our country. And I'll also just note that this is a standalone bill, like the other budget standalone bills that we've been taking up all week. All budget bills are standalone assemblies of different bills. So I'd ask for members' green votes. Thank you.
The clerk will take the roll on House File 1937. The clerk will close the roll. There being 131 ayes and 0 nays, the bill is passed as amended and its title agreed to.